We have a lot to learn from our book, They All Saw a Cat. Last week, we saw the cat's fur from the perspective of a flea, and from this perspective, we could see the fur very well. One of the reasons we could see the fur so well was because the artist that made these pictures did an amazing job of showing texture. What is texture? Texture is a word that describes how something feels when you touch it, or how something looks like it will feel if you touch it. We can pet a cat and feel its soft fur on our hands, or we could look at an image of a snake and see that it has a scaly surface. Being able to see texture is important for people. When we see this porcupine, we know that we don't want to pet it. Lots of animals have very beautiful and different textures. Some animals are furry. Sometimes their fur is soft, sometimes it is wavy. Fur has lots of different colors. Sometimes fur even has spots or stripes. This animal is woolly, which is a different type of texture. And so is this sheep. Snakes have lots of scales on their skin. The shape of the scales can be different. Bird feathers have lots of lines contained within some very unique shapes. Let's think about how we can show texture in our own drawings. I drew my cat Petunia, and I'd like to draw her furry texture. Fur is almost never just one color, so I'm going to choose some colors that look like the colors that Petunia has in her fur. I'm going to start off with a black crayon because Petunia has a lot of black in her fur. Now I'm going to start right here around her nose on her face. The fur on Petunia's face is a lot shorter than on the rest of her body, so you'll notice that as I color her fur, right now I'm working on the design on her face, I use really short little marks with my crayon, and I work quickly with lots of short little crayon marks. I'm concentrating on drawing her furry texture, but also the stripes that make her look unique. I've worked a bit on Petunia's face, and so right now I'm finishing up, and again, I really just want you to notice how my marks are almost like little dots right now as I finish up the details on Petunia's face. Right here, I'm going to make her smile look a little bit darker. I'm going to pick up a little bit of brown and add that to her fur because the white fur around her mouth has like the little bittest of brown, a little bit of gold. So I'm going to go ahead and work those colors into her fur. Right now I'm starting on the fur on her back, and you're going to notice that these lines are a bit longer than the lines that I was making on her face. When we work with texture, we're working a lot with lines. Sometimes people say, well, it might be too hard to make texture on my animal, but texture is really just lines and simple shapes if you're working on like the scales of a snake or a fish. So I've got those bigger lines in, and now I'm going to go ahead and work in some more color in Petunia's fur. So she has some gold in her fur. And I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit of brown. And I'm on my way toward creating a nice picture of Petunia's furry texture.